when it comes to questions like this.
Well, I'm glad that you trust Garrett, but I don't think he represents the class at large. I think if you get not lower than 60, maybe you should. I didn't get something say that. I think as long as you got a 70.
Right. And so yeah, I did send out that announcement. Was that after class I sent that out?
That announcement was confusing.
It was confusing. I apologize.
You can't rework something that didn't already do.
I was thinking about sending out another announcement to try to reduce the confusion, but then I wondered maybe I'm just making it worse.
So you probably could have changed the wildfire there.
We were correct in we were not allowed to use a bridge on
Correct. Correct.
Because
That would have been so.
So yeah, the question becomes, sorry, let me see if I can do it. I'm setting up my technology here. Question becomes, how do we rework? I'm okay with reworking the midterm exam up to 70%. I think that's reasonable. And I think the best way to do that is take an Excel, a new Excel. Thanks, Karen. Blank Excel. Type into the cells the definition concepts that you got wrong, right? Question 3, whatever the word was, whatever the definition is. Do that in Excel part, the actual cells. And then for the coding examples, right? Run those codes in Excel in the VBA part of the document and capture that in your module, right? Question, a little comment that has the question number and then has the correct code. Run the code so it works and it works. And send that file to me with all those corrected questions that you missed personally. You don't have to do everything, just the ones you want to correct. I mean, if you want to get a 70, you got to correct all the ones that you got wrong. But don't do all of the problems in the test, just the ones you got wrong. And, no, just 70. Does that make sense? It's starting to.
For the principal one, write in the question and then the correct answer. Well, that's what I'm not.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let me pull up. Let me see if I can show you. It's probably easier to show you than to describe it. So maybe I should have done this first. But yeah, anyway, here's a blank Excel, right? And let's see. Here's my blank Excel over here. And here's my midterm over here. And I can come down, let's say Brother Chapman took this midterm and he missed question 3. Well, nobody missed question 3. Let's say he missed question 4. So, and this will be pretty easy, right? So you do a question 4. Which character is used to split a VBA statement into multiple lines? Maybe I'll just copy this over here. Can I do that? And then I could type in underscore. How about that? Is that terrible? What's another one?
For the coding, don't put a question into a cell, put it into the
right. And let me see if this works. I mean, part of this is I've never really done this. Let me see if this works. So if I do an insert module, and let's go down to a coding question, and I'm like, let's say Brother Chapman got, which one did I get wrong? I got this one wrong. No, that's the current region one. I got this one wrong. Okay, so here's the question. I actually don't even, let's say this is question, this was 25 because of the current region one, so I know it's 25. This is 26. So I could come in here and I could say, comment question 26. Let's see, this is the code. This is saying, what will the following statement write in cell B1 of sheet 1 if executed while sheet 1 is active? So if I copy this into Excel, Let me see if I can see it a little bit better if I do that. This is the code. This is saying put range B1 dot value. This is range B1 dot value equal to this range, right? So this is kind of the question. What if I did this? What if I copied this up here into immediate window, did my question mark, ran this part, right? This is what's I'm copying and pasting that up here. This gives me invalid outside procedure.
What?
Are you saying you tricked us?
Trick?
Which one's active? Sheet 1 is active. Is sheet 1 active?
They said Brent's,
Oh, good call.
no, you're not.
Wait, what's going on, guys? Oh, it's talking about my code. Sorry, it's talking about right here. It's not talking about this. It's saying, wait a minute, something's missing down here. Why is that true? Oh, because I don't have a sub. I haven't actually subbed anything yet. So let's do sub midterm exam rework. And it's saying this has got to be up here. There it is. So there's the answer. So now I can say, okay, this is the answer. And I can comment that. I can put it somewhere in the code so I have it. This would probably be up here now. Good point. That's right. So on this one, for example, current region, you've got to have this. If you don't have this data, that won't be the current region. Good point. So this data has got to be in there for current region. You don't have to worry about that one. So yeah, don't worry about the current region question. You don't have to redo that one. This one we just did, but we didn't have to do that. This one, you probably have to put something in B because this is talking about column B. So you can do that, right? A couple of countries, 5 countries. Yep. Yeah, does that answer the overall question? Does that give you a sense of how to approach it? Ooh, I didn't put a date, did I? Can you guys in my 361 class, I give students 1 week. I give them 1 week. But you guys are 400 levels. You guys are old hats. You could probably do it less than a week. You could probably do it. I just hold you guys in such high regards.
Appreciate the compliment.
What month are we in? Oh, dang, we're in March. Let's see, today is March 5th. It closed on Saturday. Why don't you try to get it done by the 12th? Does that work? Wait, when's our next project due? User forms, that one's a little bit of time intensive. Can you finish it by Monday? The midterm rework by Monday. I can do Wednesday. I just don't want to create too much problem for you. Will you want to do Wednesday?
I mean, that wouldn't be creating too much problem. But it's the same amount of work.
Okay. How's that? We'll say Wednesday. Wednesday.
Is that like a assignment in like a module somewhere? Or you say email you?
I was saying just email me. Maybe I should make it an assignment though.
That's probably easier.
I don't think everybody's going to do it though, right?
Well, you probably need to make an assignment with your instructions. We're all gonna forget.
Well, it can be like.
Not everyone can do it, but you'll still have like everyone that did do it, and then just make it worth 0. Look how much of the class is gone.
Yeah, and then you do the point thing on your phone. Like, it doesn't have to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. I like that. I won't do that right now, but I will try to do that. And then you just click on the link to submit it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay, great. I feel like we've averted a crisis. Okay, great. Well, great. Let's get started. What do you say? Should we get started? Let's get started. Let's do this. We do have a project due today. Project Big Boggle. Raise your hand if you're done. Just give me a sense for who's done. Okay, the majority of class is done. Great. Glad to hear it. We've got another project due next Wednesday on user forms, which we finished up user forms last time on Monday. And look at this, we're keep moving. We got databases coming up. We got some other stuff coming up. We got some good stuff coming up. Today we're working on chart objects. So why don't we go ahead and say a prayer and we'll dive into chart objects. And let's see, Justice, am I recording? Can you hear me now? I think I'm good. Sharing the screen. I think we're good. Okay. Any volunteers for a prayer? Spencer? Thanks.
Falling out will make the quarter. Today, all of which we're able to accomplish this blessing that is to say, for this class, chapter, preparation and environment process here for the Spirit to be present and this point of the Spirit. For the restored truths that come from the gospel of Jesus Christ and for all the great conversations that we have here on campus and all that. So we can apply our lives. For the opportunity to rework the midterm for some of us, but we're grateful for the Son Jesus Christ that we all receive second chances. All of our mistakes. We're so grateful for that Son Jesus Christ again.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to download this file, census w24.xlsm. This is a file that we've seen before. And this comes from, if we remember, some census data. Let's see, do I already have this downloaded? There it is right there. And I'm going to open this up. And we are going to do this here. What do we have here? So we have, let me save this guy. Got it. We have some data that we've seen before. And this is the one where if we select a county from this drop down, it's going to add the county to this column on the right. So let's choose, I don't know, let's type in Madison County. That's where we're at, right? Madison, comma, Idaho, right there. I'll click on that. And it should add the entire Madison, Idaho County information from this census data. It looks like it's 2008 data. That comes from this data set here, the data set tab. And we've created kind of a way to compare. So this sheet was called comparisons, and we're able to compare different counties. What's another county we should add here? Ada County. Ada County, Idaho, which is Boise County, right? There's some differences here. Resident population, 301,000 in Ada County, 27,000 in Madison County. And we can do some more comparisons. Let's see. So pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. We could do, well, let's do one more county. I grew up in Loudoun County, Virginia. And so there's Loudoun County. We've got all the counties in the country. Loudoun County. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that. Interesting. Loudoun County has had a tremendous growth. Wow, look at that. Ada County's grown 80,000 people in 8 years. Loudoun County grew 120,000 people. Wow, almost twice as much. That's interesting. Madison County grew 10,000. I've heard that Madison County's estimates for growth for this next 10 years is going to be huge. Is what I've heard. So they say. So the goal today, what we're going to learn today is some chart objects. How are we going to do some chart objects? We're going to automatically create some chart objects here, and it's going to be pretty fun. That's the goal for today. In order to do this, let's start with a macro. Let's record a macro, use some of that code to help us build this. What I want to do is I want to select, I've got 3 counties here. I'll select the headers for these 3 counties, and I'll select, let's do resident population 2000. So I'm going to select these. What is that? 9 cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And once these cells are selected, now I'm going to start a recording. So I'll go to Developer tab, Record Macro, right? The reason why I want to select these cells is it just removes some of the lines of code of me selecting them in the macro. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Not a big deal. But if I select these cells first and then start the macro, when I actually create the chart, it just gives me the code that I want in the macro. So I've selected these cells. I'm going to create a chart. So I'll record the macro. I'll click OK. And I'll come over here to, what is it, Insert. And let's just go to this the first 2D column chart right there. Okay. I'll select on, this is the Insert tab, select on the chart wizard deal here. Click on this first 2D, what is it? Clustered column chart. And it's going to create a chart. And there it is. Beautiful. And why don't we do this too? Why don't we go ahead and grab the header information here from this row that we just were on, that we selected. I was selecting row 8. And come over here to chart title. And let's just put in the chart title here. And then we'll stop the recording because we're still recording. So I'll come over here, stop the recording. And the recording is stopped. And let's go look at that recording. So I'll pop open my Visual Basic and I'll look at what we recorded. So here's what we've got. Wait, is that the one? I don't think that's the one. I think I have a couple of different macros here. Which is the one that I just created? I think it was this macro 3, or excuse me, module 3 is the where I put mine at. And I think this is the one I just created, macro 2. So let's go ahead and use this macro for today. So let me rename this to be make chart macro. So sub make chart. I'll delete some of these comments out. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a chart for the current row on the comparison sheet. I'm just making a little comment for me for this to help me remember what the goal here is of this sub. And let's look at some of these lines here. Well, let me do a neighbor check. Neighbor, are you this far? Am I going too fast, too slow? Jaden, who in the world is your neighbor? I'll be your neighbor.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
Got it? Great.
I think it's on there.
Okay, that's good. You guys are leaving not this coming week, but next week? Okay. Okay. How we doing? A little bit different, and that's probably okay. We won't use the whole code. It's like, we'll use some of it. You did some formatting.
I didn't think I formatted anything. I just pasted it.
Yeah, no worries. That's usually what macro recorder does. It's just very, very verbose.
Go to another module. That module is already there.
Yeah, scroll down a little bit more.
Yeah, module.
Try 3. Yeah, it's got 2 other modules in this file. I think we used them before. Hey, are we still meeting today? Okay, good. We good? Great. Carson's good. Nice. Spencer? You'll soon be there. How soon is soon? 30 seconds, really? Wait, are you just, is that a thing?
Yeah,
On
you
a
can-
Mac and it's a thing.
It's Apple, you can, or probably some Samsung too. You can take pictures and you can copy the text from it.
Oh, nice. That's cool. Let me know if that works. Sure, sure. No worries, no worries. Multitasking. Okay, great. So what does this say? This is saying, and here's an interesting one. It's saying active sheet. Okay, that's the sheet. There's a shapes object inside of the active sheet. So it turns out that charts are actually part of shapes. That's right. Shapes are like the super category. Underneath the shape category is the charts. And so within this shapes collection on this active sheet, we're going to add a chart. It's weird that it says add chart 2. What happened to add chart 1? I have no idea, but it's add chart 2. They wrote that a long time ago and it probably disappeared. I don't even know if you could do it. I don't even know if it's still a valid thing, add chart or just add chart 1. I don't even know. 201 and then XL column clustered dot select. Okay, so because there's parentheses here to this add chart 2 command, we're returning a reference to the chart that we just added. And that allows us to do the dot select. We're selecting the reference that we just added, which is kind of cool, right? We're adding a chart and then we're selecting that chart. That's what was recorded. We have an active chart here. Now we're saying, okay, this is selected, the active chart. The source data of that chart is this range. And that's the range that we highlighted, that I highlighted. B1 through D2, comma, B8 through D8. I selected range A8. This is where I copied the title and I pasted that title into the chart title right there. Okay, so that's what we've got. We've got creation of a chart, and then we're adding the title from that row. In this case, it was row 8, cell range 8. We're adding that to the chart title. Okay, so now we have enough to work on here. So let's do this. This is kind of cool, I think. I think it's cool. Let's create a sub that allows us to automate the creation of charts. So here we go. Let's come up here. We'll create a couple variables. We'll do a dim shape as shape because we're going to use the shape to create our chart. Remember the shapes? We create a shape and then we create a chart. And the chart is like underneath the shape. We can't create the chart without creating a shape. So we need a shape object. Let's do a chart object. CHRT as chart. And we need to have a row object so we know which row we're going to use. So whichever row we're on that's selected, we're going to create a chart for that data, for that row. And we'll be able to compare these 3 counties, for example, for that row. Let's do this. Let's see. Man. Let's use this one down here as our first line after we have create our variables. We have active sheet dot shapes dot add chart. We're going to select that. We actually don't need the select, so let's take that one off. Let's Let's see. I don't like that as well. Let's create this object and connect this shape to the object. So for example, let's take this select off first. Then we'll come down here and we'll say set object to this shape. So let's create an, do we need to do that? Let's just skip that step too. Let's go straight to the shape. Let's do in front of this line, we're going to say set shape equal to active sheet dot shapes add chart 2 201 comma Excel column clustered. This is where we created the shape variable up here, and now we're saying when we add this chart, we're setting that shape to be this chart. Now that we have our shape variable set, let's set our chart variable. And this is going to be the shape object, and it's going to be the chart of that shape object. Notice when I hit the SHP dot, it recognizes that it's an object, and I can type in chart as a property of or an object within that object, right? The chart within that shape. Okay, so far so good. We got these two. What's the next step? Let's make sure when we do this, though, let me come back up here. And let's make sure that we're in the right worksheet, because the only way this is going to work is if we're in the right worksheet. So let's do this workbook, worksheets, and which worksheet are we on here? Oh, sheet 1. So this does not really have a code name. Let's go ahead and use the comparison as the worksheet name. Worksheets comparison, and we're going to activate it. When we activate this worksheet, we're saying we want to make sure we're on this sheet before we run this code down here. We don't want to create a chart on a different sheet. Another question is how many columns are we going to have? So let's go ahead and dim another variable called last call, and we'll make this an integer. Let's see, is there more than 32,000 columns? Let's check. If I select my last column here and I say active cell.column, okay, there's only 16,384. So integer would work. That's below the 32,000. So let's dim last call as integer, and let's come down here and say let's set our row. Row is equal to active cell.row. So we've defined the row up here, this variable. We're going to, whatever that active cell is, that's going to be the row that we're going to use. And let's do this. Because in the comparison sheet, the first 2 rows don't really have any data. Let's say if row is less than 3, then row is equal to 3. And what if we choose by chance something lower down here in this other row section? Looks like 85 is our highest row of data. So we could also do if row is greater than 85, then row is equal to 85. So we're kind of just restricting the rows to match the data. Now, I could see where 3 is good to hard code, but the 85 one, I mean, I could definitely see if we had different data in here. As time goes by, inevitably the census changes some of the data they collect. So it's possible that we could go more than 85. So let's see if we need to come back and fix that later. But for now, I think it's fine. We'll use 85 and we'll kind of just hard code that in. And then let's figure out what our last column is. So last call is equal to cells, and we've already selected the sheet, so I don't need to designate a sheet here. I can directly go to cells. Let's go 1, 1. So row 1, column 1. And let's go as if we were going to excel to the right, right? So if I go 1, 1, and I hit control, hold down control and right arrow, that's going to take me to the last column. That's how I'm going to find out. So again, if I'm on row 1 column run and I hold control down, hit the right arrow key, it'll take me all the way over to the right. And that's how I know it's the last column. So we'll do the same thing in the code. So cells 1, 1 dot end, open parentheses, Excel to right. Sorry, let me scroll up. I apologize. Last call equals cells 1, 1 period, end Excel to right. And what I want is I want the column. So I'll say dot column. What is that column? That's going to be my last column right there. And once we know what the last column is, we can select the cells that we want to create the chart, right? So just like we did before, as we selected those cells, we'll automate the selection of those cells before we create the chart. And we'll use kind of an interesting function. I don't know if we've used it before in this class, but it goes something like this, right? So we can create a range here, and notice there's cell 1, cell 2 as a range. We can either do something like this. We're familiar with this, right? A1, that's a range. But notice also when I do range, we can do cell 1, comma cell 2. And everything in between those cells is part of that range. So, for example, if I wanted to do range cells 1, comma 2, comma cells 2, comma last column, what would that be? That would say row 1, column 2, to row 2, last column. What would that look like? That's saying row 1, column 2, so that's this one, it's B1 is what this is resolving to, right? Cells 1, 2 is B1 right there. First row, second column. And cells 2, last column, that's going to be row 2 with last call. For me, that's going to be this column right here. So it's saying row 2, last call, that's going to be my D2. How about that? So basically that range consists of these 6 cells. That's what this line is saying. So that's the range, but we need to add to that. So we need to add to that whichever row we're currently on, right? If we're on this row, we would add these 3. If we were on this row, we would add these 3. And that's the selection that we need to be able to create this chart. So we've come up with part of this, so we can add another range on top of this. Does that make sense? We can do range, open parentheses, and we can say cells, row, that's our active row, right? That's our active, let's see that we set up here. Row is equal to active cell.row. That's the row that we're on. Column 2, that's what we want to start column. Oh, do rows dot count.
Rows dot.
Yeah, so the count is it's actually a property of the total rows in the cells, if that makes sense. You're not gonna be here Monday, Wednesday. Okay. Are you in break mode? No, maybe.
Should just pop up, right? It was working.
Yes. Game. I want to see some sweat. I want to see some hustle.
You gotta bring like your son to get
I want to see some.
Yeah, go.
Chart count. I think that's. Oh, I think you misspelled it up here. So you got to match that. So chart count. And then get rid of that space between the chart and the count. That'll recognize that it's a variable. See if that works. Penultimate chart.
But it's not new.
Oh, I think you spelled penultimate chart.
Oh,
For your, oh, for your,
Or it's like blue, like.
Penultimator chart. Penultimate chart. Yeah, try that. Hey, see ya.
Looks off camera,
Penultimar.
but it's.
Justice, how's it going? Is it working? Really? Good job. Not bad.
perfect.
Good work. Yeah, you are. You are definitely.
Same thing.
Penultimate chart. Yeah.
And.
Uh-oh, dangerous. Dangerous. There's no errors. All right, we'll see you, Jared. I like your style. I like your style. Is it working? Hey. Nice. Hey. Branch. All set. Okay, good job. Great. Chris, how's it coming? Oh yeah. No worries. 316. Right downstairs in that corner over there somewhere. Okay, we'll see you then.
Trying to figure out something.
Oh,
And for the project, in the assignment you brought up the Q and U section.
yeah.
Thinking of doing an array inside an array to be able to select that, but I don't know if that'll work unless I do arrays for every single cell.
Yeah, that could be really complex.
So currently, other than the secondary array, I've got this selects a random one based in each character and on it. And then this one sets the range to it, and I can set up each variable differently.
Nice.
That's what I got figured out. I'm gonna do the summit, then I'll figure out the Q. I'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a quick way to do it kind of at the end, which says if the letter's Q, then QU. That's easy. I probably shouldn't have told you that, but that's
I appreciate that. I'll figure this way. I think could work. It's just a lot more complicated. And a lot more data than this.
no, I agree.
Okay, so here's
Yeah.
another question I have.
Sure.
It takes me off the fact that it's not a 5 by 5 by 5 in order. Can I split it up from the array within the array? Because I tried doing it because the underscores I use separated separately, but it doesn't do it that way.
Do space underscore before the underscore.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Now I just gotta do it like that.
There you go. Yeah, that'll help. Yeah, does that work?
Yeah, so I'm guessing in order the best way to do it would be to do a dirty for like if you x integer of x plus equals 1, then I could do so for range 1 sets
Right. Yeah. Range cells 1.
range, so the range I have set for. So if I did a do for a for until x equals 1 and then to x equals 25. And then the range of x that I can select each individual range number within this section.
Within the array.
That, and then I would be able to I would select the array, do the randomized number array in the array.
Yeah.
And then it would make that like, for instance, range, then it would do range x equals this value. X equals 1 and then.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that sound about right?
I think that could work.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I spent like a good hour just trying to figure out what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
See you guys.
So I guess, yeah, like, ready to do like a